Number 7, we have a public hearing to amend the town's 5-year consolidated plan for community development and approval of application for 2009 community development. I approve for publication from Richard Keene and Eagle newspapers. That notification was indeed published. And approve the posting from Town Clerk Tracy M. Castleman that the notice was posted on the bulletin board at the proper time. Jody.
Okay, the first part of this public hearing is amending the consolidated plan, which after reviewing the plan and the submission of the 2 applications that I've given to the board, we do not have to make any changes to that. It already includes Sleeth Park beautification, and it already includes Gateway Community Park improvements. So we do not need to do that portion of it this evening. The other portion is the public hearing for the actual application submittal. Do you want me to review these first and then review the applications?
Do you want to?
Okay. I'm submitting 2 applications to community development this year. The first one is Sleeth Garden Park beautification and development project. Sleeth Park is actually located on the corner of Factory and Route 11. And it is an area where our holiday tree ceremony takes place. I have submitted a grant totaling $55,600, of which the town share would be $13,900. Of that monies, approximately $12,800 are coming from the park fund, and the balance of that, a little over $1,000 in-kind town forces doing work. Such as landscaping, planting trees, and those kind of things. I'm looking at installing a sidewalk along Route 11 and a sidewalk into an area that would be a focal point of the town Christmas tree, which would have some benches, some decorative lighting just to give it a little security, some landscaping, a sign noting that it is from the Sleeth family and that it is a town facility, and then a fence that would border between our property and the neighboring residential property.
Something you should clarify.
Yes, sir.
Is that you mentioned that it's where the town tree is now. It is on the opposite side of the stream from where the town tree is now. The Sleeth family gave that property to us, which is adjacent to the house. I believe it's green up on Route 11 there.
There is a small parcel right at Route 11 and Factory, yeah. And that is correct. The rear portion where our tree exists is actually someone else's private property that has allowed us to continue to have our ceremony there. This is also an extension of the monies that that Chet obtained through Assemblyman Sturkey's office, the $10,000 for actual cleaning the site, removing dead trees, doing some landscaping and movement of land, materials brought in so that we can then put in these amenities for the project. The second project is the Gateway Park Recreation Facility Enhancement Project. It's a grant for $60,400, of which the town would be responsible for $17,400, and of that $17,400, $16,000 approximately would come from the park fund, and the balance would be in-kind labor from both my department and some maybe an MEO from the highway department to use a bulldozer on the project. The balance would be $43,000 from community development funds, which are HUD funds that come through the county. I would ask that the board put a priority rating of Sleeth Park as a #1 and the Gateway Park as #2, so that we can complete the project that we're starting this construction year on Sleeth and get the improvements in by next year. I think that's all the information that I have.
Open the public hearing at this time. And some comments from those who are in favor of the 2 projects. I'll solicit comments from those who are opposed to the 2 projects. I'll close the public hearing at this time. Solicit town board comments. Any comments?
Well, since nobody spoke up right away, I know I just talked to you, but something else I wanted to say was, why did you put Sleeth before the Gateway Gateway project's been in the works for a long time. There was a lot of
Sure.
community people did input. There's a lot of expectations from that. So what made you decide to put Sleeth in front of that?
Well, I would like to get the Sleeth Park project completed so that we have an actual area that our holiday program can take place on that's town property. The initial funds coming from Assemblyman Sturpey's office gave us the impetus to move forward, so I put that in. It was also priority 2 last year, so I moved it up. This summer, I have a $100,000 community development grant that I obtained for Gateway Park. I'm working on this summer during the construction season, which is lighting, both area and recreational lighting, and an extension of the trail.
So some work will be
Yes, and I want to mention
going on there.
the meeting that you came to and other board members were also present at with the Bridgeport folks. When we talked about what needed to go out there, we have done all of their recommendations except, well, we've done all of their recommendations. The only thing we didn't do, and I noticed in the last 2 summers, is the playground equipment we put out there is for children 5 to 12. There are a lot of younger children in families out there that are younger than 5 that really shouldn't be on that equipment without supervision. So my new grant is to place a playground unit, swing sets, teeter-totters that are more for 2 to 5-year-old children. So add a preschool playground area to what's existing. I believe that we may have a good chance of getting both because the amounts are less than the total amount that you can ask for, which is $75,000 to $100,000.
Okay. I'm expecting that those folks are expecting some movement and.
Well, I went back through the list that I had given to the board as well as to Chief Snell when we had our meeting out there, and the only thing that we really hadn't touched is a tennis court. And I did not put that in because the cost of the tennis court alone is well over $50,000 to $60,000. And I just felt that more children could get use out of that playground equipment, and it's probably a project we could get approved versus the tennis court.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Jody, you said the $12,800 would be used for the Sleeth Park project through park funds?
Yes, through our 277 subdivision funds.
All right.
And I asked Jeannie for an amount on that fund, and I'm holding the committed funds from that, including these 2, is about $60,000 to $65,000. I'm holding that fund to not go below $100,000, so that we can kind of sit on that money for future projects.
And is that the number that was provided with the grants and everything, does that include the fencing and other amenities you just talked about for that particular project?
For the garden park, it includes sidewalk, a concrete landing, brick circle around the holiday tree, the tree itself, benches, decorative landscape or lamppost, landscaping, park sign, labor, and engineering.
Any other questions?
No.
Someone like to make a motion?
Oh, and Jim, I apologize, I didn't even answer your question. The fencing is in this grant that I'm doing this summer with the $10,000, so that we can cordon off whose property's whose next to the rental property that's adjacent to us.
That's a separate.
That will be done this year with the $10,000 I have.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks.
sorry.
No, good projects. There's no other questions. I'll make a motion that we authorize the resolution, or we authorize the application being submitted as presented in the, with Sleeth Park being the first priority and Gateway the second.
Second.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Tarwacki?
Yes.
Mr. Ryda?
Yes.
Mr. Corral?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.